Hi, this is Mike, and on this chart, we're looking at Bitcoin. So I'm going to attempt to demystify the patterns and the long-term goal for Bitcoin. Now, long-term, I think Bitcoin has a lot of potential, a lot of potential. Um, I'll tell you roughly how much we could at least expect to see in the next major bull run. But like everything, we need to see a correction complete. So I've been looking at the waves, and I know that this pattern is not the same as you know, XRP or XLM, because this thing was around long ago, but I think there are similarities somewhat. It's just not the same chart, obviously. But the thing that really gets me about this chart is the percentage growth. It's so unnatural in such a short period of time that you can't really use Fibonacci on it. Okay, let's be real. You can't really use Fibonacci on this chart that much. Small degree, maybe, of course, small degree, but even that is like, yeah, it's got to be really small degree. Like in terms of, trying to put okay, let me give an example. Typically, when you have a run up in a market, you will get a wave 4 will have a 40% retracement using fib, right? So let's go down to 0, because obviously it would have started at 0, right? Let's go to wave 3. Okay, now wave 4 had over 80% pullback, right? Wave 4s only usually have 0.382% pullback. So you just can't use fib here. This is ridiculous. Don't even bother. It's not logical to do that. Okay. So don't get caught up with Fibonacci on this type of chart. It's just not worth it. All right. Because if you keep thinking the same thing, you're going to keep losing. Now, the first move up was impulsive. Yes, it was. It was an impulsive move. Right? Does that mean that the price action after 2017 is impulsive? Well, sure, you could probably think that B wave expanded was impulsive, but look where that got you. All right, it's a bit different when you're talking about a correction. At the same time, you've got to look at the subdivisions of the move that's in play right now in order to get any kind of idea as to what's going on. Any kind of idea at all. Okay. So I've practiced my wave counting abilities over the last couple of weeks in preparation to put out this video, because I know that a lot of people get funny about crypto because they got lucky once, they think they're going to get lucky again. But remember, luck is the worst thing that can happen to a trader. Did you forget that? Or did crypto cloud your mind? So, in saying that, corrections usually fall back to, I like to say, the previous fourth wave, wave 4 of the previous third wave. So, not this wave 4, but the wave 4 in wave 3. Now, I'm willing to go with wave 4 for this example, because anything other than that, people would chuck a hissy fit and say you're insane out of your brain. Now, don't get me wrong, the potential's there for anything to happen. People have said over and over, this could go to 0. Yeah, and if it does, I'll buy some more. Big deal. Not 0, but close to 0. I don't think it's going to go to 0. Why would it? Just to keep this thing running, you need to make some kind of profit. Otherwise, are people even able to run it? Well, for those who have vested interests, I suppose it's worth it, which kind of makes it interesting to begin with. So anyway, let's just say that Bitcoin fell to the previous fourth wave, which is not abnormal for a correction to do. Okay. It's abnormal for someone to think that a move up that's gone this high makes only that correction. That's abnormal, by the way. Check yourself. All right, take off your Lambo sunglasses and just check yourself for a moment. For someone to think that a 5-wave move that long only has this little correction here, this little baby A, which I know in your heart and mind you felt that 80% decline. You probably felt it so hard that you now got your Lambo sunnies on since. Okay, but you're not being real. Sorry to bust your bubble, but you're living in some kind of la la land. Right now, the reason for that is, well, the market usually gives everyone a second chance, a reasonable second chance at least. So far, there's been none that I can see that's actually called a correction. Okay, because a zigzag is not a correction, at least not a complete one. And shit doesn't go into the moon forever. So this idea plays on the waves with the view that BCD has already happened. Okay, right. So let's head up to the daily. Right, the daily suggests with AriasWave counts, right, not your imagination count, and especially not Elliott Wave. Don't even talk about Elliott Wave. That's ridiculous. I can show you pictures of Elliott Wave where they even get Elliott Wave examples wrong in the original book. They made wave 3 too short in like a triangle ending diagonal pattern. It was wrong. The wave 3 was too short. It was the shortest wave out of all of them. So don't even get me started on that. So wave B, I believe I called it when it happened. I changed my views a few times, but I called wave B here and it fell. Wave C, or it already happened. Okay, I believe it already happened. Wave C fell 50%. Okay, now in your hearts and minds, that's enough. We could do without any more corrections. Okay, so we saw wave D. That happened. Cool. That's more likely the case than my last idea where it said that's a B, C, D, because that's a zigzag. I'll get to that in a minute because that's meaningful. So A, B, C happened, D, but E decided he wanted to be longer than C. For whatever reason, market conditions, money printing, interest rate, I don't know. Whatever it is, okay, they started to raise rates to the point where it started hurting. I don't know. Because obviously it started in 2020 here, but it got to the point where it started to pinch on people's purses. So I suppose there's always a lag, right? But they did it pretty full on, 8,000% since March 2020. Interest rates up, the largest increase in history. Oh well, it's just getting started. Come on, don't you know that? Haven't you got analysis on the bond yield chart? Haven't I shown you already? Go check it out. Anyway, continuing on. Wave 1 happened. Wave 1, that's a 5-wave move. I can say that's a 5-wave move. Let's switch to the BTC chart because this chart doesn't let me go small degree. Here we go. Oh, look, same pattern. Beautiful. So, okay, let's go to the 4-hour chart. We know we're working with wave E. Okay, we know that based on this count. That's my opinion. If you don't like my opinion, well, I'm sure that you thought this was going to the moon, but it didn't. Oh, look at that. A nice head and shoulders pattern there. That's not a top at all, is it? Not a top at all. Anyway, so wave 1. So you have to understand that if to have this view here is important. Because if you don't have this view as important, and mind you, weren't you the one who was saying, like, we should use fib? 55% drop for wave C. So if you're saying, oh, that wave C is not long enough to be wave C, well, who says that fib's important, right? It's not important. What are you talking about? So we go wave D. wave 1, we have A. So this is a zigzag pattern. The reason I know is because it's got an A, B, C, D, E inside it. It's a zigzag, not a full correction. Okay, cool. So where's wave B? Well, I don't see one. Why? Because it's expanding. Okay, it's expanding to the downside. So we're looking wave 1. We haven't even seen a B wave yet, and it's already fallen this much. So you want to tell me I'm crazy for suggesting Bitcoin could go low, low, low? Whatever, man. Whatever. Because you're just not looking at the waves in the way that you should be. And if you don't like the way I look at the waves, then you definitely haven't seen my Dow Jones video, which explains the move up since the Great Depression. Okay, that explains how patterns and corrections within corrections can expand, even more complex than this. This is not even complex. This is easy, right? It's just that I had to practice a bit so I could bring you this, and I'll link all those videos down below so you can see how complex the waves can get. This is not complex, okay? What's complex is how sometimes you think, oh, should I post this? Because people wouldn't like it. I don't care what you like anymore. Like, I don't care. Like, I cared for a little while after I made the call that's the top, and it did happen, only 55%. But I called that when it happened. And I called this, but I didn't think it was that completely. I thought it was BC, but then I realized, hang on a minute, it's a CD. Okay, whatever. So that means that we've only seen half a B wave. Okay, A, B, C, D, and E is in progress. Okay, where can E go up to? This is interesting because a lot of people I've heard say that they see Bitcoin in the 30,000s by mid-year. And I thought, that makes sense. I thought, geez, how do these people know that? Do they know AriasWave? Well, they know something because price cannot go above $48,537 according to this chart. Okay, because that's the start of wave B. But it can go up anywhere up in that area. And if you want to use a fib, which I encourage you not to, but you can on a small degree, then potentially we could go to $36,788 roughly, right? It could happen. So during that time, we'll probably get a pretty big move up to 45 to 66,000 in a Dow. But like currencies will just be correcting, ready for a smash down, like a big smash down. Check out my Aussie dollar video down the bottom there. It comes after many, many, many different interpretations, bull, bear, everything. This is the view that makes the most sense. Okay, so it's taking a lot of preparation to make this video because I know a lot of people don't like it when you talk about their crypto in the wrong way, right? Like it's their girl or something. So this is a big deal. This is a big deal because we're only just getting started. This is not cool. Not cool. But it's probably going to happen. Okay? I hate to say it, but it's probably going to happen. So let's take A wave from 0.618 and then we're heading back down to 13,342 roughly. And that's okay. Then we'll expect a wave C. Now, as you know, these corrections up typically don't move much. And I don't think a wave 2 correction is going to flip around too much. So it might come back, retest something, I don't know. Might go a bit higher. But trust me, you don't want it to, because that's going to prolong the inevitable pain that's coming. So having an opinion on that, it doesn't mean shit. Because we haven't even seen a wave 2. That's a problem. Okay. So we need to see wave 2 eventually. Where will wave 2 end? We don't know. Nobody knows. Right? But as a guide, wave 2s can end near the end of wave 1. So if it does end up around here somewhere, who knows, maybe, we still need to make a new low before we come back up to this area. So we could consolidate in a range for a while there before we see the inevitable move lower in wave 3, which is probably going to be not so good. Okay, it's probably not going to be a happy days, unfortunately. I don't want it to be this way. I really don't. Please believe me. So, look, could it go as low as wave A low? It could, right? It could. It could go to 3,000, 2,000, 1,000. Nobody knows. You can't know that. Have an opinion. Scream at the moon. It's not going to help, right? So really, what's the difference between 3,000 and 1,000 anyway when you get to that level? Not much, really. Really, right? It's a couple of $1,000. Get over it. You already paid 30,000 for it. Who cares? You already paid 20,000 for it. I mean, think about how much you've lost already, and then and then say how much you paid for it. You've probably paid a big price in crypto, I'm sure. Unless you would have listened to me and got out when I told you to. That's a different story. I suppose that's why I have members, right? They're probably a bit grateful for that. I hope they are. But in saying that, I'm trying to keep you out still, unless you want to trade these little blips up, which I teach how to do. And that's fine. But how high will it go? It just prolongs this even longer. So because we're expecting a move up in the Aussie dollar, euro, Dow Jones, this is going to go along for a ride, but not a very big ride. Okay, this time round, it ain't going to happen. Okay, next time round, it could explode massively, but we got to get there first, right? You got to learn to crawl before you can walk. So we need to get there first. Let's try that, shall we? Slowly recover from the pain, from the blood on the streets. Actually, blood on the streets means buy, but we're not there yet. So I want to get there. I want you to get there before you lose it mentally, before you give up and keep buying the dip, which keeps going down after a little while, and losing your mind, getting frustrated and all mad and trolling. And like I've lost all my trolls. I've lost more trolls than Bitcoin has lost value in the last year or two. I've lost 100% of trolls. I used to get trolled all the time talking about how this is going to go down, and they go, "You're dreaming. Your analysis is shit. AriasWave is crap. It's rubbish." Whatever, man. Whatever. Now look who's laughing. I'm not laughing really, but I'm being serious. It's true. People did that. And what happened to those people? They probably got wrecked. I wouldn't be surprised. That's why they're not trolling anymore. They don't have that crazy Lambo glasses on, hyped and all crazy, turning into werewolf. Too much moon, yeah? I don't know. I don't know what happened to them. I don't care. So I reckon that when the time comes to buy, we're going to hit wave 2 and this thing's going to explode. But will you be there? Will you be broke by the time it gets there? Will you have nothing left to give? Hope you enjoyed this video. Catch you on the next one.